Kumite. It's fucking Bloodsport. This week on Nothing Good.
You son of a bitch. Listen, before I go into the usual intro, this motherfucker proceeds to tell us that this is going to be a long intro.
We were waiting for it. I went to get a beer.
Does anybody just rock out to the theme song like I do for every episode? Like, you guys are still getting your business, and I'm just, fucking bobbing my head back and forth, just jamming along.
It's a banger.
Oh
for
my
sure.
God. So, gentlemen, we are here for a very important reason. There are movies that we're going to review, we're going to talk about, we're going to gush over, pick apart, and make fun of. But then there's movies like this that is like an accomplishment in cinema. It's an accomplishment for actors everywhere. It's a cinematographer's dream. I think we can all agree that it's one of the greatest movie soundtracks of all time.
Fuck yeah.
That the acting was something to believe in, something that you felt, that the story had merit and had gravitas. It's not every day that we get a chance to sit down and talk about Return of the King. I think it's important. Wait, what's so funny? Well, we're not talking about Return of the King.
I was like, man, all these accolades.
You know what?
We were talking about Highlander
I'm
again.
going to piggyback on that, and I'm just going to go ahead and alienate a large section of our audience, where I'm going to go right out now and say that, sure, Return of the King has an absurdly larger amount of awards and accolades and made more money at the box office, and more people cosplay as characters from that movie at conventions than they do this one. But I don't watch Return of the King once every year just to maintain a healthy erection throughout the remainder of the calendar year. Fuck Return of the King, because this movie is better. Okay? This movie, in every single way, in every single shape and form, and I believe this in my heart, is a better, more enjoyable movie than Return of the King. You want to know? And here's this, and this is from Mac, who, because the people aren't watching the video of this right now, is fucking losing his mind at the concept of this. A previous conversation we had in our friendship about award show is going to come up here. There are 0 Best Actor winners in the movie Return of the King. 0. There is 1 in Bloodsport. There is an Academy Award winner for Best Actor in Bloodsport. There is more Academy Award winning credential acting in this fucking movie than there is in the entirety of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And you know what I'm going to say? Half of the Harry Potter movies, but not the good half.
First off, all right.
Shots fired.
I realized we had to fucking go this hard this early. Mm-hmm. First thing I want to say, I thought the psychedelics were kicking in way too early for me to hear what Herb and Noah were saying. So I was just tripping balls listening to that conversation. Cate Blanchett is in the Lord of the Rings movies, and she has exactly more Academy Awards than the actor who was in Bloodsport. So, or at least tied. So
at least I'll rescind that argument. Yes,
at least, it's at least tied. So, because as you're sitting there saying it, I'm like, this motherfucker is going to make me go through the Rolodex of what people have been nominated for from those fucking movies. So Jesus H. Christ, I can't. I need a minute. I'm just
the Battle of Helm's Deep would have been much shorter if Jean-Claude Van Damme was involved.
That is a fucking fact. There wouldn't even listen. If Jean-Claude Van Damme was fucking sitting there at Helm's Deep, there would have been no fucking men on the wall. There would have been no fucking elves at the wall. It would have just been him in a full fucking split just just fucking
uppercutting people in the nuts,
doing the thing, just waiting, and the fucking orcs would not have known what to do. They would have had no fucking idea what was happening and what they're getting themselves into.
Do orcs have nuts? Do male orcs? Do they have cash and prizes?
First of all, I don't think they're. I'm going to go in and hop in here.
Great question.
And a nerd question, and I don't believe they do, because I don't believe orcs have a different gender, so I don't believe there's a need for sex organs. I think they're, at least the Uruk-hai, the badass orcs introduced at the end of Fellowship, are birthed from the earth.
Yeah, they're birthed from the ground.
Yeah. So I don't believe that there are sex organs. And you can't
They
tell
have
me.
fingers. They have toes.
You can't tell me that the orcs and we are way off topic already, but you can't tell me that the orcs in Lord of the Rings with their ravenous thing, like, could you imagine like fucking Viggo Mortensen running up after chasing them for a whole movie? Would he find anything other than a fucking pile of orcs just fucking each other? So there's on menu.
That's just an orc orgy going on.
Listen, if there's going to be an orc orgy, that definitely would have been Two Towers in the beginning when fucking Merry and Pippin were kidnapped. Like, I'm starving. I haven't had anything but measly bread for 3 stinking days. He's like, I need fresh meat, and then they just fucking go right into the Uruk-hai orgy.
Yeah. Wait, what do you even call a group of orcs? Is there because there's a murder of crows?
An orgy of orcs.
A term for a group? I was gonna say, is it an orgy of orcs? I feel like
it sounds fitting based on the conversation.
Canonically, I'm going to go ahead and become a member of the Lord of the Rings wiki, just so I can officially put our influence, so we can decree now, canonically, that a large group of orcs is now known as an orgy of orcs. And that's the only...
that should be on a shirt, just orgy of orcs.
Well, that's going to be the next on the Nothing Good store.
Oh, yeah.
Orgy of orcs.
Visit the Nothing Good store, because if you don't think when we're done recording this episode that I'm going to work on that design, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's got to be in the Lord of the... You got to make sure you have the Lord of the Rings script, like they used at the beginning of the fucking movie when they drop the name of it, I feel like there's a fucked up subreddit I'm going to go down tonight to try to figure out the answers to this and tease some more questions. When you mentioned wiki, when I was just out of college, guys I played ice hockey with and everything, our ice hockey team was Donkey Punch. So we did shorten that to D Punch. And somebody did get on Wikipedia. And when you're reading through the definitions of what a donkey punch was, like the third entry was a 3-time adult league ice hockey champion in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. that at least lasted there for a week before somebody threw it off, but it was still pretty funny.
Screenshot and it lasts forever.
I have a question for you, gentlemen, to kind of rein us back in, and I'm a part of the issue here as well. But what are we drinking this fine evening? I'll go first, but we're getting to you, Mac, because it's been a while. I'm having myself Hazy Bones by Flying Fish Brewing, and it's got notes of something, pineapple and mango. It's pretty tasty, 6.3%. I'm enjoying it. It's just nice and light for a beautiful evening that we're enjoying right now. Jeff, what you drinking, son?
I am drinking a Guinness with out of a nitro can, which is kind of cool. It's got like a little nitrous thing that bounces up and down in the can, so it's very
fancy
smooth,
motherfucker.
And it's it goes down easy for a stout. I like it.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yep.
Oh, there was. Yeah.
Oh, it goes down so easy.
Mac, it's been a while. You're no longer sickly.
Jesus Christ, guys. What a fucking year it's been. Just everything's falling apart before I turn 40. Swear to God. So I am drinking Canada's finest Labatt Blue. But there's a story behind this beer. And Jeff is aware of the story. So myself, Jeffrey, and the illustrious, the incomparable, needs no introduction, Gregory Staub, of course. Gregory Staub. We're at the Penguin game on Friday night. And after maybe the first period, Greg just runs to the beer stand and just grabs a couple of beers. So I'm thinking I grabbed a water. I kind of figured the beer was probably going to be for you, Jeff. Motherfucker just kind of forgot he got the other beer. So as we're leaving the arena, the beer was not open. So he decided to carry it, hide it in his pocket and leave the arena with it. Now, as we knew Greg had the beer, they gave out mini sticks as a giveaway for the hockey game. Jeff and I are hacking the shit out of Greg's leg, trying to get this beer to explode in his pocket.
We failed.
We failed.
Oh.
However,
Jeff, it's a good time anyways.
Jeff, there are fucking dents all over this can from our college try of trying to fuck up Greg as he was leaving the arena. Now, and another great Greg move, because he was, I'm not going to say fucked up beyond recognition, but he's usually rather stages of fucked up by the time he gets out of my car. He always leaves something in my car. It could be earbuds. It could be like a pack of cigarettes. It just could be something that he had in his pocket. This time it was a can of fucking beer. So I couldn't give it back to him, and Jeff didn't want it. So it ended up in my fridge, and now it's on the fucking show. So Greg, fuck you, but thank you for the beer.
Well, okay.
Cheers to that.
Glad you're enjoying that long storied beer.
You took us on a journey, Mac.
That is a $15 Labatt he's drinking right now.
Yes.
It is a $15 beer. It absolutely is.
A stadium beer is.
Yep.
Yes.
It will never be worth whatever you pay for it. That's just a rule.
Correct.
It is today.
Well, there it is. Well, I decided that because it has been a bit since we've gotten a chance to be together and do the show. And I fucking adore this movie with every goddamn trip of me. And most of the late 80s to mid 90s Van Damme action movies that we are undoubtedly going to cover over the course of this podcast, which will never die. I'm not fucking around. So I am drinking straight Jack Daniels.
I like
That's
it.
fantastic.
That's what I'm doing. I am sipping it out of my wonderful cup that I have. It's my 80s cups that I bought from some dead person's estate sale. I'm like, oh, those just look so
okay.
So whenever I want to feel retro, I put on the Miami Vice soundtrack. I put straight bourbon or whiskey in this case, in a 80s glass, and I get fucking ready to go. Just like I'm ready to go for this masterpiece of a movie where, frankly, if we can just call a spade here, nothing really happens in this movie. Like 8 things happen in this movie, and they're all fucking beautiful.
Yeah,
So,
if you read the entire synopsis of the movie from start to finish, it's a paragraph and a half at most.
That's the whole. Like the fact that 3 people were a part of the screenplay and making this fucking thing blew my mind.
Well, it's based on a air quotes true story.
Yeah, which was complete bullshit.
Yes, everyone who's ever met Frank Dukes has mentioned that he was completely full of shit, and everything. But the idea is that we can thank that con artist of a person who got a lot of shit made, right? For bringing one of my favorite words into the lexicon of culture, which is kumite. I mean,
Kumite.
Yeah. When
It's just fun to say, right?
So in my background, being able to work with like wrestlers and knowing people, a lot of wrestlers also train at MMA. They're like, oh yeah, I trained Brazilian jiu-jitsu for 12 years. I'm like, yeah, you ever compete in kumite? Which always makes them really upset, which I don't know why. But it's fucking incredible. And here we are. I mean, okay, so First of all, if you are listening to our podcast, first of all, bad decision. Right out of the gate. Poor decision. You're off to a great start. But you also haven't seen this movie yet. What the fuck are you doing with your time? What are you doing with our time?
Living.
We're important people. We're drinking, talking about a movie. You need to get on the same level as us. All right. But I mean, this movie was released February 26, 1988.
Ooh. Oh my God in heaven. 5 years old, man. I can tell you the truth. I couldn't even tell you the first time I've seen this movie because it's so ingrained in my growing up experience.
Mm-hmm.
My father, which honestly, as we've been doing this show, I've become more and more aware just how impactful my father's taste in movies have affected me.
Mm-hmm.
because Bloodsport we have on VHS, which he dubbed after he rented it at some stage, like most of the movies that we owned growing up. And I think I couldn't tell you the year. I'm sure it was after 1988, obviously, but that movie and like Kickboxer, they're so intertwined to me because I watched them so many times with my pop.
Yes,
because my father behind closed doors, my dad was, before I was born, was an amateur kickboxer. I don't really know how good he was. I'm sure he wasn't amazing, but that was one of his things that he did.
So never say that to anybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Tell people that he may or may not have killed a person with his kickboxing.
Well, I know. I mean, I know he did like tournaments and things like that, but again, this was like
he was in the Kumite. I would tell everyone he fought in the Kumite.
Every single person.
My father, in fact, did not participate in the Kumite. But
you don't know.
Maybe he fucking did.
He might have been Frank Dukes. We don't know if he was Frank or not.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, but nobody has ever seen Herb Jones II and Frank Dukes in the same place.
They haven't.
At the same time. The evidence
There's probably a reason for that, because they're two different guys. So, okay, look. Bloodsport is not a good film. Let's just get it out of the way now. And listen, fuck you too. It is a good film. This movie is acted terribly. It's like a cardboard acting simulator. Like, it's terrible. But it's so fucking amazing how bad it is.
Yeah.
Like, nothing about this movie is actually that good. The soundtrack's fucking terrible. All right. We're going to get to that because I got feelings about the fucking music selection here. But since Noah, we're going to start with you since you feel so strongly about this film.
I do.
When would you say is the first time you ever saw it?
Okay. So I do want to say that it was almost certainly around when the movie originally released on VHS or Laserdisc, right? Because again, my father would show me Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and titty movies way before I should have, which would tell you a lot about me. And this movie was no exception. But I literally watch this movie every year. Okay, every year I watch this movie, and still to this day, I confuse scenes from this movie and Kickboxer.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
To the point where I refer to
movie.
Both villains as Tong Po, even though that's the villain in Kickboxer. All right. I can't. Is this the one with the implied rape scene or the not implied rape scene? All right. Or do they both have implied rape scenes? I'm never sure until I'm watching the movie. All I know is that in one, it's his brother, and the other one, it's the dude from Revenge of the Nerds. But largely, same kind of. So one knows what he's doing before the start of the movie, and one learns what he's doing as the movie goes on. But ultimately, they all end up in this final fight scene where he does a split, gets blinded, and ultimately wins. And it's fucking incredible. Don't change a thing. The fact that he's deviated from that formula for most movies should tell you why, JCVD is where he is now. But that is, I gotta say, 89 tops, 90 very tops, because you're talking about by 90 Kickboxer was out, so I had to have seen that one interchangeably with that. We're doing what was the Hard Target, where so the guy from Millennium hunts him from Sport, the dude from Alien, right, hunts him for Sport. And my all-time fucking favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, which also features the actor that plays the villain, Bolo Young, right? Double Impact, where you have two Jean-Claude Van Damme.
That movie's so good.
It's so,
it's not great, but it's
fucking wait to do that movie. Oh my God. We're doing a whole thing. But yeah, so
the trilogy of Jean-Claude.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna do them all. I would say 89, 90 tops is the first time I saw this movie. Mac,
yeah,
how about you? No.
Go ahead, Mac.
No.
Whatever.
No.
I got Jeff.
No. I was trying to organically segue.
You motherfuckers.
No, it's fine. I'm just taking over. I don't fucking care.
Shit.
I think the first time I saw it was also when it first came out on VHS. So growing up, it was an all-male household. My dad was a single dad with me and my two brothers. So we watched a shit ton of 80s action movies. And this one was no exception. I've seen this movie a ridiculous number of times. I don't remember the first time. I just know it wasn't the last.
It'll never be the last.
You're never really done watching Bloodsport. I mean, you just take a break.
No, it just keeps going. Yeah.
Mac, what about you?
Well, I'm kind of like Jeff on this one. I don't have an actual active memory of the first time I saw this movie, It's just kind of always been there. So I'm assuming it was probably sometime in probably early 90s. I mean, I don't think this was a VHS rental at our house. I think this was an HBO. It was on HBO one night. So like my brother and I probably stayed up to kind of watch it. I'm sure this is another one of those movies that my brother's like, you gotta, turn off Howard the Duck and we're going to watch fucking Bloodsport.
Shit.
So, both involving, listen, both movies involving weird sex scenes,
Yep.
There were no chewing on titties, though.
Well, no, I mean, that's Highlander.
Yeah, there were no titty chewing that I remember.
Listen.
They had that market cornered in Highlander.
I was say what everyone probably in the 80s had like, all right, so they go back to the place, the hero makes love, chews on a titty, and then they saw Christopher Lambert do it. Like, we can never top this titty chewing scene. Let's not even fucking try. Move along.
That was like chewing a titty of ages.
I gotta throw a salt packet in his eye. Go to a restaurant, get one of those little salt things at a Wendy's that you would dump in your pie, throw it in Van Damme's eyes. That'll chew up our titty chewing time.
Yeah, it's
but you got some Van Damme ass.
Oh my god! Unfortunately,
full on butt cheeks.
Yeah, it was definitely that was so fucking weird to me. Now, guys, so I wanted to ask you guys this because I know that in prior episodes we've been covering movies. You guys would, often recruit the women in your life to sit down with you and watch this movie. So, my first question to you all is: did you do that when you guys did your rewatch of Bloodsport? Did you bring Allie or Melissa or Marielle into the fold to watch this, as you have with maybe some other movies?
First of
Absolutely
all,
not.
My wife has requested that we not use her name on this podcast, just so she cannot be associated with it.
Well,
in any stretch of the imagination. I'm just kidding. She would never listen to it to know if we did anyway. No, I did not recruit her on this rewatch because I made the mistake of showing. I told you I watch this every year. So one time she watched it with my yearly rewatch. She's like, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm like, "It's fucking Bloodsport, and you're welcome." I can sit there and check it out. And she just the whole time. This is the last time she saw it. She shook her head the whole time. I'm like, "Oh, Forrest Whitaker, he needed the money." I'm like, "Yeah, he needed the money. He needed the fucking money bad." But what he got out of it was worth so much more.
So fortunately, yet again, my wife volunteers herself to watch these films with me.
What a trooper.
Although she does not actively listen to the show, she is at least interested in the things that we're covering and will ask questions. So when I go, "Hey, I'm going to watch a movie," what are you watching? Why are you watching? I go, "Well, it's going to be for the show." She goes, "All right, I'll watch it with you." So
Beautiful.
I get to see.
That's awesome
because almost all these films are things
she's never seen. Yeah. It's a brand new experience for her every time, which is awesome.
It's a really cool, actually. So she was very familiar with Jean-Claude Van Damme. In Germany, her and a couple of her friends would watch like some older action films, but she definitely had never seen this. This came out the year she was born, 1988. So her opinion, and I'll keep it very brief. She was more amused at the ridiculousness of it all. She didn't dislike it. I don't think she'd go out of her way to watch it ever again. But she didn't come away going, "This is fucking terrible." She was just like chuckling at it, like, "Are you fucking serious? Like, what is this movie?" And I'm like, "It's fucking Bloodsport." I don't really know what it is either. But she dug it. How about you, Matt?
Well, so the reason why I bring this up is that I have exactly one note about this movie. And
I am actually impressed. You only have one, but something good.
I have exactly
I got like 3 pages.
I have exactly one note about this movie. So Stephanie has kind of picked it and chosen what movies maybe to watch, which ones not to watch. And she has not watched a lot of 80s movies. I'm not sure what she was. I think they were just in the car all the time going to amusement parks with their family. They did a lot of summer road trips. So I just don't think they were really watching,
for
movies in
amusement
the
parks.
80s.
Sorry.
So, I've been making a point to introduce her to, Predator, Die Hard, Aliens, the great 80s movies, right? She didn't even really see Star Wars prior to us dating. So this was the verbatim, the actual exchange that happened with me and Stephanie after completing Bloodsport. So she did sit down to watch this with me. So, Dave, the good news is that since we rented this on demand, we can watch it again anytime we want in the next 30 days. Right? Noah, okay. I know you're on board.
All right. Yeah. Go on.
Stephanie, if I have the choice between watching that movie again and doing literally anything else, I'm going to do literally anything else.
You fucking whore. You stupid slut.
Oh, shit.
I'm not going to let someone sit here and disrespect the good goddamn name of Bloodsport in my presence, okay?
Did you... She gave it the honest. So first off, like, it was also as we have mentioned, like halfway through the movie, she's like, "Wait, is that fucking Forrest Whitaker?" Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just randomly just gonna drop him in. But like the whole beginning of the movie, when we go to young Frank and whatever that fucking kid was, whatever they were dubbing him into, or whatever accent they tried to get him to use, I don't know what was going on there, but I never saw Stephanie's face actually go, "The fuck," in my life. Like, it stuck. She couldn't do anything for at least, I thought she had a stroke because her face just froze with a look of confusion. Like, why did I say yes to this man 9 years ago that led me to this moment? Who approved this? What is he even trying?
All of her life
question
choices.
Every life choice she ever had, because she couldn't quite wrap her head around the fuck was going on in this movie.
So you're and I'm assuming you're talking about the awful young Frank. Dubbing, whatever that was. I will not be a punching bag anymore. I don't know what the fuck he was. I don't understand what this was. People got paid for this.
Mm-hmm.
They got paid.
Let's be honest. I hope not.
Based on just our experience as friends and recording the Highlander episode, the first thing I thought was, this kid has a learning disability. Put him in there. They put him in there. They go to steal the store, and then his friends just leave him there.
Well, that's
like, leave him. Nope, he's the fall guy.
Yeah, he is absolutely the fall guy.
Jesus Christ, man.
Sensei Tanaka's like, oh, he's trying so hard. Come stay in my house.
Well, that's a really good opportunity to get into this, because I'm going to pose this question to you, gentlemen, and I'm sure you motherfuckers noticed this.
Why there's state-sponsored child abuse in the first act of this movie?
No, but that's a good point. Because it's funny. It happened, and like, if my wife, she turns and looks at me, and like, I don't remember this at all. This little motherfucking shit, just call him Round Eye.
Yes.
And I kind of went, what the fuck? Well, shit. We're just right there, aren't we? Allie just goes, did you say Round Eye? I'm like, yeah. Well, real just straight up.
So
called him out on that.
So let me hop in here for a second, and let me just tell you that I'm not going to be the one, and as any of our previous movie reviews will tell you, to apologize for the extremely casual racism in all these 80s action movies.
Extremely casual.
So,
oh my God.
It's like I would ask my father, like, was everybody just racist in the 80s and earlier? Like, that's just what it was. And there are two types of racism in this movie, right? There's the forward onto white people racism that, you get hit with a round eye and all that stuff. And then you're like, oh, so it's just kind of like reverse racist. And then the dude from Jackson, the dude from Revenge of the Nerds shows up like, oh no, there's the regular racism, and had to rear its wonderful head in the movie. But no, I learned from an early age what the Chinese term for round eye is, guilo, which I did not know was a bad thing. And as a child, I used to call people Guaylo. Because I thought that was like a term of endearment.
Good job.
Right?
It's not.
It is absolutely not.
He said that. He said that to me when I was playing Santa Claus at Toys R Us.
I didn't know.
He's like, "What's up, Guaylo Claus?" And I'm like,
"Oh
no!"
I
This
guess,
shit 3 years ago.
So no, yeah. A lot of they start right out the gate with the racism in this movie. And to my surprise, never let off that gas the entire time.
No.
Every time he meets a new Asian character, they're racist to him. And then there's a 50-50 chance that Jackson's racist back to them. So it's like, okay.
Does it even itself out? I don't know.
Yeah.
Only true bigots know.
Was oh god. But like that whole opening sequence, I as you mentioned, I have very little recollection of how this movie started. I don't think I've ever actively remembered the film prior to him getting to Hong Kong, right? So that was a fucking trip to me at that point watching that. And then like it kind of realized that he tried to steal the sword, but he didn't. He was like trying to put the sword back and everything, and he's kind of the one who got caught. But like the whole deal that he made is like, I won't like get you in trouble, but you're going to be here to be fucking beaten the shit out of by my son as he trains. Like you're going to be the punching bag. And the kid's like, okay. Yeah.
Meanwhile, his parents gave zero fucks that he was over there just getting his ass beat every day.
I don't think they had the full information.
Honestly,
I don't think Sensei Tanaka was really upfront about this.
Barrier there for sure. Nobody really knew what the fuck was going on.
I'm definitely not abusing your son in my basement. Definitely not. Not at all. No. And I mean, honestly, with the decision making that Jean-Claude Van Damme makes throughout the course of this movie, if you were realizing you were raising that kid, you would be like, oh yeah, beat the shit out of my kid.
He might learn something.
So
if you just look
the movie has zero chill at all. It goes from beginning to intro, origin, and it goes for a while. I don't remember the origin tale lasting for as long as it does.
Yeah, there's a lot of training montage in there.
No, yeah, so that's the thing too, because you're still getting situated because you haven't got to the actual 80s action movie yet, right? So your brain naturally skips ahead to when he shows up in Hong Kong and does all that shit, right? But you're like, oh, it's literally almost a third of this movie is how they try to explain that this white guy, who's definitely not American, but he's American because it's the 80s and we can't have a protagonist.
Because his name is Frank. That is the only fucking American thing about him.
How he can legitimately compete in a martial arts tournament. They put way too much time in this. Now, I say that knowing that seeing the rest of the movie, I'm not sure where else that time could have gone. Like you didn't, there was nothing else to really mete out. I mean, you could have per capita more full screen butt cheek. Like I did not work hard every day at work to be able to buy a big screen 4K TV to just have Jean-Claude Van Damme's ass up there. Like, boom. 4K remaster right on them cheeks. But here we are.
Yeah, what intrigued me was, so you saw him as a kid who could barely speak and just got his ass beat. And somehow this non-American American ended up in some high power position in the military where the rest of the military guys had to go prevent him from fighting in the Kumite because he's so valuable to America, not knowing that he even does martial arts.
That's how you know Frank. That's how you know Frank. Is it Dukes? I mean, Frank right?
Dukes.
Frank Dukes, right? That's how you know the real Frank Dukes was so full of shit when he was getting like people to write this story down. He's like, I want you to know that I was in a military position that was so fucking top secret that I had constant escorts, was followed around everywhere that I went around the world, half the time by Forrest fucking Whitaker. And
yeah, those chase sequences, the lazy eye did not play to his advantage.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but we have to ask the important question at the risk of being completely insensitive, which big fucking surprise, that's where I'm going. Is this the movie that cost Forrest Whitaker's lazy eye? Is this
when he fell off the boat?
He fell off the boat.
Yeah. Boom, comes up.
We can all acknowledge that Forrest Whitaker is the singular individual in this film who brings some fucking ability on screen.
He's the only one who can act. Period.
Every fucking scene he's in, he's actually kind of fucking believable in the position he's in, considering the script shit. And more importantly, can we all agree that Forrest Whitaker is utterly fucking wasted in this film? And his fucking talents. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here, man?
You gotta pay those bills, man. You know, like you gotta.
Oh my god! And to answer your question, yes, this has to be the fucking film where he got a fucking lazy eye, because I'd get a fucking lazy eye with these shitty ass Benny Hill chase sequences in this fucking film. God damn it!
No, Benny Hill had better.
Benny Hill was better.
Yeah, Benny Hill at least had better music.
Like slapstick fucking comedy happening here. But I have a theory. About this whole fucking film. Okay, I have a fucking moment of clarity watching this. Okay, and I'm like, how did I not see this? Probably because I haven't seen this movie in 15 fucking years. So in this film, this guy, Frank Dukes, is some fucking schmuck as a kid. Gets his ass whipped, and he gets trained well enough to be split in fucking half and somehow not die. Even though I'm pretty sure it's fucking torture, not a method to train somebody in fucking karate or martial arts. But anyhow.
Yeah.
He joins the military years later, blah, 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 blah. He skips town, goes to fight in this fucking illegal fucking tournament. The government is like, nah, motherfucker, you're way too fucking valuable. They never express why. There's no real context of why he's so fucking special. And they chase this motherfucker. They don't pull guns on him. They use fucking tasers. They don't want to damage him because he's fucking important. Okay? But clearly he's a bad man. He beats a whole lot of ass. Like, he's damn near untouchable. He's fucking blind. He's beating ass, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, where have I fucking seen this story before? Or a variation of it? Frank fucking Dukes is the fucking super soldier. He's clearly the original fucking Captain America. Fucking think about it, right? Punk ass kid, trained, billions of dollars pumped into him. He's so fucking valuable. They don't want to harm him to bring him back. They won't really do much. They just try to stun him to get him, but they can't. He's too fucked. This motherfucker blocked taser shots with a trash can lid.
Yeah,
pretty fucking sure it was a trash can.
Like when they get to the Kumite with the Hong Kong police, and they just watch him beat the shit out of all the police officers.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we'll catch up with him later."
He is an original MCU character or something. There's something there.
Jones,
that's my fucking theory.
You said something in that made me realize something that I never really quite thought of before. When he was getting split in half, right?
Yeah.
Master Tanaka was a soldier for Japan in World War II. He was fucking letting out all of his shit on Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie.
That's not how you train anybody.
He's like, I'm going to go ahead and fucking bend your legs in a direction that they don't bend. Like an action figure bends that way. Fucking He-Man, works that way. But no, we're going to go ahead and make a man do it that way. And he's like, I'm getting trained. And he's like, no, motherfucker. This guy's got a lot of PTSD. He's got a lot of PTSD and he's letting it all out.
You just gave me the visualization of Tanaka's in his kitchen. Shingo's sitting there playing with a Stretch Armstrong. And he sees the legs go all the way out. And he's like, hold on, I got an idea. And he goes down where Frank is chained in his basement. He's like, this is your life now. Fuck. So Dave, I'm glad you have one note. I have many notes about this, but I have one repeating note about this movie. But before I get to that one word note that goes all throughout this movie, I have to let out about something. And it's all because the first act translates. And it actually kind of makes sense about the secret weapon thing, but let me let out about this. So Master Tanaka, Sensei Tanaka, is a master of ninjutsu, right? Which is where we're told he's a ninja. Okay. Now, and this is me in my unnecessary love of Asian movies. Ninjutsu is not a fucking traditional discipline. It's not like karate or jujitsu or even Krav Maga that the Israelis do. Ninjutsu is espionage. It's what you do once you're already trained in a martial arts discipline that you do to make it dangerous. It is literally like stealth and espionage, which makes sense to why the U.S. government's like, oh shit, it's a white ninja. We gotta protect this guy at all costs. But no one goes, right. I need to be a master of ninjutsu. That's not something you teach. You teach a different discipline to somebody. So Frank Dukes is trying to tell somebody, I'm sure, in the concept of the story and what eventually became the script of this, that he's a fucking ninja. Which leads me to my one word that appears through every time I made notes about this movie. And that word, of course, is cocaine. The amount of cocaine involved in this entire concept of this movie, from the first time it was told to somebody, and to the last day of production, and to the last day of editing this, and at the entire premiere, and probably for years afterward, is, of course, fucking cocaine. It's the only way I can explain this. How many lines of cocaine do you think were done off of the VHS box of Bloodsport? And my answer would be probably not enough. Some are still as you keep talking about this movie, I just keep more and more in my mind that Frank was just so full of shit that just every single thing that he taught, that he just made all of this up. Because like I just keep thinking back to some of the things about this movie that don't make any sense whatsoever. The fact that he's incorrectly using the term, ninjutsu as his discipline. The fact that a reporter's like, listen, I got nothing to do tonight. I just met you yesterday. I'll fuck you if you go ahead and get me into this tournament. So he fucks her and goes, I'm not going to get you into this tournament. And she's like, the dick was so good that I'm all right with it. I'll see you later tonight.
Dude, I 100% wrote a note down here. Like, her reaction after they boned and there was titty chewing. It was, when you didn't see it, but the shit was implied.
It was there.
It definitely happened. It was the 80s. It definitely happened.
You didn't see it, but it was implied.
People stopped titty chewing in the 90s, but in the 80s, that's what you fucking did.
Grunge killed titty chewing.
Meanwhile,
yes.
Nirvana killed titty chewing.
Yeah, they went straight to ass eating after that.
That's correct. Yes, clearly.
Frank Dukes' ass had like the fourth.
Oh my God!
Fucking,
you know what? Though,
I'm the fourth fastest knockout in Kumite history.
So I'm pretty confident when they boned and her reaction, she became like vastly more invested in what he did directly after, getting biblical and shit. I wrote in my notes, he clearly came inside of her.
That's what I was going to say.
There's no other reason why she wouldn't be.
So I also
so fucking intense.
Can I read my sub note to this?
Please.
So
Please.
I typed in all caps. He totally came inside her. And then I had a moment of clarity. I paused the movie and I wrote a note to myself that said, I can't believe we've been doing the podcast this long and you've never written he came inside of her on your note. What took you so long? So I'm yelling at myself now in the notes. But he absolutely did. She's like, shit, that's my baby daddy now.
Yeah.
Like, she is completely invested.
But I think more importantly, how their relationship started. Basically, him winning her in a bet and her still going along with him. And she's like, he said I have nice legs. And he's like, oh, he was right.
It was that or the gangbang, that was about to happen there too. It's like,
nothing good was about to happen to that woman.
Nothing good.
I like that the fucking dude, I don't have his name right now, the character. I don't even know if the character has a name, but I like
the main villain.
Well, it wasn't Chong Li. It was the dude who had like the silver tooth
I just called him
that he ultimately knocked out.
Just called him Silvertooth.
To Silver. It's not Sabretooth, but it's Silvertooth.
Silvertooth.
Where like fucking Jackson and Frank walk in and she's like, "No, I'm not gonna get raped by you." And they're like, "Excuse me, is something going on here?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm about to rape this woman. Do you mind?"
I don't know how things fly in Hong Kong.
And they're like, I don't know about you, but where we're from, rape is not frowned upon, but it's not really exact. But this was the 80s, so everything was fucking going on at that point. And he's like, "No, we're all gonna rape her. So why don't you guys just move along? Or if you want to get in, we could all." But like that was the whole fucking thing. It's like
there was that awkward exchange. Like,
yeah.
He's
like, how about? He's like, so here's the thing. He's like, how about? John Claude's like, I got an idea. How about you don't rape her? if you can keep this quarter out of my hand. And for some reason that dude's logic's like, am I gonna rape her or nope? Fucking shiny quarter. I'm in. Let's go.
It's the logic for the villain. It is completely absurd. But
there's no way a guy who's full of shit doesn't tell that to his friends when he comes back from Hong Kong.
Yeah, this story does reek of bullshit.
Oh my God.
It's one of those things where I bet you normally, like when someone tells someone based on a true story, right? And they're like, okay, well, we got to flesh this out and make this more dramatic. Bet you the screenwriter, Sheldon something, I don't know. I have it further in my notes. I've moved past it already at this point. It's like, no, we got to take some of this shit out. And Frank's like, at some point, the Toxic Avenger shows up. And there were robots, and I'm the whole reason why Britain seceded Hong Kong. And he actually, now that I'm thinking about it, he probably told the plot of at least 3 different Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and they just decided to slice them up and go.
Well, he was a part of the what the fuck was it called? Not the Journey. The Jean-Claude movie that came out, The Quest. He's a part of that. The script for that.
He went back and
that's based on another one of his fucking stories, his life moments.
What, Frank Dukes?
Full of shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't want to get off on a Jean-Claude Van Damme tangent, so I'll just shorten it here. But so Van Damme saw personally, I think he personally peaked with Time Cop, which is a fucking incredible movie that I cannot fucking wait to see. But then after Time Cop, he did the movie with Dennis Rodman, which the name of which escapes me, which did great, but he was worried that his box office were declining. So he went back to Frank Dukes and bought another. He personally bought the screenplay.
I don't know. I just see Frank Dukes just sitting on a throne, petting a cat.
Here's the thing that fucking amazes me.
Back.
The screenplay to The Quest was written by Frank Dukes. Okay, was written by him, and then the only wise decision that Jean-Claude Van Damme has ever made in his life, he hired someone to rewrite the script, because I still wish we could have seen the original titty chopping rough draft of the Quest B film. But that's when Frank Dukes fought God. And so he goes to Frank Dukes to resurrect his career, to stop it from failing, and it ends up bombing so bad that it's the thing that killed Jean-Claude Van Damme's career. So what gave him birth, from the womb of Dukes he emerged, and then at the end he was shoved right back in there like an unwanted fetus. So here we are, though. So I don't want to dwell too much, because there's really not much to talk about in the movie. For the people that haven't seen it, this mentally disabled non-American kid gets abused by a Japanese man. Then the Japanese man's son dies. And so he decides to take on the mentally disabled person as his son, but also train him and still abuse him. He goes to the army. He goes AWOL to fight in the Kumite, the legendary martial arts tournament, which, by the way, how shitty of a secret is it that the dumbest reporter in the history of mankind stumbles upon the entrance to the Kumite? Like, she's like, I know it's around here somewhere. It's gonna be alone. But anyway, and it's about him fighting in the Kumite.
The Kumite, for those who don't know, it's basically the Asian Fight Club, but
Yes.
everybody talks about it.
The legendary.
Yeah, and everybody knows everything about it.
So I don't want to fast forward here too much, but there's that
Jesus,
great,
I do.
there's that great fucking credits right at the end where they talk about the stats, right? So, you know, we just covered Mortal Kombat like not too long ago,
Yes.
right? And when you think Mortal Kombat, even if you're playing the video game or anything, right? Liu Kang goes through 8 guys before he fights Goro, and then 9 when he gets to Shang Tsung, right? So we're watching the Kumite, and you know, we've got every close-up punch that draws blood, which I think was basically all Frank Duke said. He's like, listen, every time I punched them, they bled. So make sure you put that in the movie. And like, so you're like, oh, well, you know, it's a tournament, you know, even if you're thinking fucking Karate Kid rules, there's 40 people in this thing max. It's the greatest warriors in the world. No, in the end credits, he goes, in one tournament, he fought and defeated 359 people. And I'm like, what kind of fucking tournament was this? That there was like 800 people in this fucking tournament.
No, it's like playing Halo as a teenager. Like you just keep playing until you lose.
Like
Pass the sticks.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus Christ! And it's like how much of a fucking secret was this? Like, you don't invite everybody in your class to your fucking birthday party. You leave a few invitations out, but no, they didn't. And yet they had the fucking audacity to look at him and go, "You fucking white man from America. There's 799 people in here, but you don't have an invitation. Your last name's not Tanaka." And he's like, "Watch me break this."
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
That's like one of the best sequences in the whole fucking movie.
It's so fucking bananas.
Which fucking brick do you want to break?
No. The bottom.
I'm gonna do this one. No, the bottom. That's like, again how you know Frank Dukes is full of shit. He's like, so I went up there, right? And I just they said the top brick, and I was like, no, the bottom one. He's like, fuck it, got this.
Hold my beer, motherfucker.
Jackson would have drank it if he did.
Yeah. So wait, okay, okay, all right. Fuck.
This is why I didn't make any notes. There's no points.
So okay, brother, this is chock full of notes. So you brought up a name. We've mentioned his name a few times, and it's super important to this whole fucking story for some fucking reason. And we're gonna dip into my wife's point of view, which I mean, the best part about watching movies like this with your significant other, especially if it's not really their jam normally, or if they've never seen it before, there are details and fucking things that maybe you never notice. And you're like, oh shit, you're right. You know, write that shit down. Or shit that you were thinking, didn't have the nerve to say out loud, but they do. Okay. So I'm sitting there watching the movie. We're probably well over 40 minutes in. And we're at the point now where Jackson and Frank are getting into like the tournament the first time, we're entering the fucking building now, or the underground fucking temple, whatever the fuck it is. At this point now, Frank and Jackson have known each other for what seems to be a few hours, right? Not a long time.
Nope.
I don't know about you motherfuckers. When I meet people, especially if I didn't like them initially, for whatever reason, especially if they seem like they're dickheads initially, I don't... She turns to me, my wife, and all three of you guys know my wife, know her voice, or how she talks, and she turns to me. She's sitting on the love sack. I'm sitting on the couch. She just turns to me and just goes, "They are touching each other a lot, aren't they?"
They were very handsy, yeah.
And I went,
They fucking.
Listen.
And I went, well, yeah. And then throughout the rest of the film, she would just go, they really seem to be really into each other. I'm like, oh, this is a fucking romance.
It ends in a kiss in the hospital at the end.
It really got fucking weird.
Listen.
Weird.
Nothing bonds two men more. Nothing brings you closer than when you're sitting on a double-decker bus and watch another watch the only other fucking American in Hong Kong get on said bus with a beer, basically looking at this Asian woman who's like, probably gonna rape you later. So, and just like sits down and just drops sexual assault. And you look at that man, and instead of stopping him, which he really doesn't fucking do,
nope,
he just becomes his best friend. What the fuck?
Like, there's so much to that entire scene with Jackson fetishizing Asian women, which is a whole conversation for another time.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, but what really bonds them, Mac, and I'll see your verbal.
I know you're going with this. I know where you're going with this.
Nothing bonds two people than like karate champions and like $7 in quarters. Right? Look, there is like a weird relationship bonding experience that I'm firmly convinced. And hey, look, if they're fucking, they're fucking. I don't give a shit. Call it out then. At that point, listen, like it was like there's some cocaine. Shit got weird in 1988 or whatever year the movie's supposed to take place, right? So it's just that I didn't realize how much of a fucking bromance this film was, and it really is. It really is a story about two guys loving each other.
And that brings it's like Lord of the Rings, but the undertones were much more subtle.
Yeah.
I never I didn't realize that like a fucking quarter was going to be like the fifth star of this movie, like right above Forrest Whitaker. Because so much fucking happened in that movie because of a goddamn coin.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh my god. But yeah. But here's the other thing too. Jean-Claude's like, I've never played this game before, and then I'm gonna fucking own you, right?
He just beats his ass.
Jones will tell you from personal experience. There's never been a time that I jumped into a game well after him and Steinberg have been playing and been the best one.
That's usually not how that shit works.
You know how that shit works, Dave. You go on ahead, and we'll be right behind you.
No,
oh shit.
No, so I obviously I have in my notes. Excuse me, that they're fucking and
casually.
Did he come inside Jackson?
No,
yeah, he's a power bottom.
So here's my thought is that you have to wrap your head around. I've given significant thought to this, so excuse me. Around the concept of the fragile 80s male masculinity, because you can think about the target audience for this film, right? Clearly, even though there are significantly more Jean-Claude Van Damme butt cheeks in this movie than in The Bridges of Madison County, this isn't geared towards a female demographic, okay? This movie isn't going to be nominated. You're not going to see an ad for Bloodsport for your consideration, right? Like no one's putting this out in Variety that this is an Oscar contender. So this has to appeal to the male ego that at that time still went and saw movies in droves just because they were badass action movies and they could live vicariously. And so you have to basically understand like what the 80s male psyche was. They wanted to fight everything. They had no problems with basically implying rape as a casual concept and a constructive way to end an argument. And also that they desperately wanted to fuck their best friends at any moment in time. And this movie's plot makes a lot more sense if you just add one thing. Every time that the scene ends with Jackson and Frank looking at each other, which it does, if my notes are correct, 6 times. If you just close your eyes and after the scene cuts, you just hear zip and then like they just jack each other off real fast.
Jesus.
That's just a couple of strokes just to keep it
Frank,
real, just to keep loose. I mean, listen,
Frank,
how are you going to
keep loose?
How are you going to defeat?
Is a very tense thing. You need
how are you going
to
to defeat
unwind.
359 dudes without someone jacking you off in between the rounds? And defeated. All right.
But like,
all right, I'm ready.
And you know, it's really fucking funny is I'm watching this movie, right? After the whole like the sex scene we knew about, not the ones that were implied. But like, I look over at Steph and I'm like, you wouldn't fuck her in the middle of Kumite. It's like you're not gonna weaken your legs like that.
That's right.
Just no fuck. So you
fucking Mickey said it to Rocky. You can't do it, man. Women weaken legs. And then he's sitting here fucking ass cheeks all over the place, right? And she's just laying there like, she's like, so now that I fucked you, are you gonna like push my career forward, and because I'll do anything for this story. And he's like, no. And then he just fucking goes. Then he goes to Jackson's room.
New phone. Who this?
And then I fucking told her, no.
Well, I assume because the same day she shows up at the Kumite with the rich guy.
Yeah.
And she said multiple times she would do anything for the story. She was also fucking that guy.
Oh, yeah. For sure she was fucking that guy.
That's why Dukes left her behind. Like, he was just like, see you when he got on the plane and just left that bitch on the bus.
Oh, yeah.
That my wife also went. So she at the movie's ending, and that's the thing that like blew her mind. He's on the plane, he's like waving at her, and she just goes, so he's just fucking leaving?
That's it.
I'm like, yeah. She's like, he's just leaving her there? And I'm like, well, yeah. But they were like, hey, listen, they fucked. It was a one-time thing, obviously. I'm sure Jackson's on the plane.
No, Jackson stays behind too. He leaves Jackson there too. Everyone he fucks in this movie.
Yeah, Jackson's not out of the hospital yet. Yeah, Jackson's not out of the hospital yet.
He's healing from that kiss on the forehead.
Yeah. There's a kiss.
He's flying back to fuck Tanaka's wife next.
Listen, there were some eyes being given there.
Listen,
man. She was holding his hand in a very specific way.
He's going to unsheath that katana as soon as he walks up to that front door.
They never say what Master Sensei Tanaka is ill from. He's just, I feel like he was hungover, most likely.
It's because there was no real cocaine. Tanaka. None of this is real, and he couldn't come up with any fucking reason he was sick.
He's like, who's that guy?
Something.
Yeah, Duke who's that guy who was in all those old samurai movies? Let's have him be my sensei.
Matt, you brought something up, and I want to ask all you guys this question because I thought about it when it happened, but I was like watching the movie, so I didn't want to look it up, and then I forgot to look it up. So I feel like Noah will answer this question probably first. So speaking of Jackson, and Mackie brought up Rocky, we don't talk about that scene, right? Where Bolo curb stomps my man Jackson. And there's like, the moment, and Jean-Claude's looking at him, and it's what happened first? Rocky IV or this film?
Rocky IV.
Who copied who? God damn it.
Rocky IV happened first. But
so this movie clearly copied Rocky IV.
Yep.
Because that was the fucking scene. That was Apollo.
Oh, yeah, it was absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is I feel like I've seen this movie before.
Because when Frank W. Dukes sat down with Sheldon Littich, Christopher Cosby, and Mel Friedman, and he was describing this part of the Kumite, he just fucking watched Rocky IV before hopping in the cab to get over there. 2 buses in a cab because this motherfucker doesn't have a car.
Rocky IV came out in '85, so 3 years before Bloodsport.
100%, they stole that shit. That was this same fucking scene.
Oh my god!
Rocky IV ended the Cold War, so I mean, you're gonna lift everything to this fucking movie you can. But yeah, so I mean, let's not dwell too much further into the fucking nuts and bolts, or the Frank's nuts and Jackson's bolts, as it were. Basically, to just kind of sum it up, he shows up. By the way, I got a sidebar immediately. By going AWOL from the government, that's a felony. Then he flees being arrested. That's a second felony.
It's the country.
Then when Forrest Whitaker and the unnamed white guy, whose name I've all these years refused to try to remember, also get beat up by Jean-Claude Van Damme, that's a felony. Right. So I am very surprised that he's not going back to the United States to go to jail. But no, because he's the American ninja Frank Dukes. He's going to go back
super soldier, man.
He's probably just going to go jack off Forrest Whitaker on a plane. It's a long flight from Hong Kong to LA.
You got to stay loose, man. You got to stay loose.
Listen. Can we throw a little love? Can we throw a little love at this movie for a fucking second? Where
I love this movie. Yeah.
Frank Dukes gets away from the fucking military off of a military base by leaving the fucking hot water on in the shower. That's how he fucking got out. He's like, I know. I'm going to turn all 3 of them on because, that makes a lot of sense. One for each leg of my split because that's how I shower. And then the dude's like, he's been in there for a long time.
He's been in for an hour and a half.
And he fucking looks, and apparently it's just one guy guarding the door. and next thing you know, Frank's in fucking Hong Kong. Like, how long was that shower on? Was the guy sitting there? Was the guy sitting there for 14 hours and just going? He's got to be out of hot water by now.
Oh, that's a good point.
I never really thought about that. Like the whole time, I never thought about playing the two scenes back to back as if one happens right at the end of the other. I just imagine the military guy's like, he's really soaping that ass. Like, hey, you need a hand in there? No? Okay. They don't pay me to ask questions, man. Not soaping that ass. But so anyway, to the point of the movie, guy goes to the Kumite. They don't let him in. He's got to do the dim mak, which is the touch of death, which if you've ever seen a Kurosawa movie, it's not in there. It's fucking horse shit, right? But dim mak is the legendary, as referenced in Kill Bill, the 5 points heart touch to touch somebody in one spot and kill them at another, right? Which just seems like a complete waste of use. Like, oh, by the way, because that's like your finisher, right? As like a martial arts fighter, it's like, oh yeah, if you remember the Tanaka clan, fucking explode this brick. It's like that's kind of a waste. But there we see, at that moment in time, we see our villain, who is a legit heel, Chong Li, in that scene, and he's like, very good, but the brick doesn't fight back. And it's like, you know that guy is tried. Like, he's like, I see him at a Home Depot punching bricks. He's like, come on, you pussy. That's a scary looking dude, though. Chong
Li, he's a legit badass.
Yeah,
but he plays the same like badass villain in everything he's ever been in,
for sure.
Yeah,
but
I mean, can you imagine him?
He fits the part,
guy.
Yeah, right.
He's menacing.
Yeah, he murders people. He's the reigning champ. Puts Jackson in the hospital. He curb stomps him.
He does.
His pectoral muscles look like fucking plates that you put on the bar at the gym. Like they're if you put fucking Liu Kang, right? I hope your mom's listening to this. And you want to go ahead and put Liu Kang's nipples up against his. Liu Kang's nipples don't have a fucking chance.
Well, Liu Kang had a lot of nipples, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He had wide nipples that his pants covered 7 of the 10 nipples on his body. But I mean, Chong Li is like, first of all, like Toad's legit, right? I mean, he appears in Double Impact later, which I swear to God we're going to do. If it's the last thing I ever do in my life, we're going to cover that movie. But this the actor Bolo, who played him, was in a Bruce Lee movie. He fought Bruce Lee. So we decry the acting in here, but the martial arts in this movie, to be complimented for a minute, is awesome. It is legit to a certain extent. It's hokey when it's not like Jean-Claude versus Chong Li, right? Or it's like an exhibition thing, but you do have capable people in this movie. But ultimately, we all know what's going to happen. He curb stomps the shit out of the only other white guy in the tournament, right? And Jean-Claude Van Damme goes to the hospital, jacks off Jackson. Oh my God. I just put the two together. And Frank Duke's just like, yeah, this guy that I totally didn't jack. Jackson was his name. Jax definitely was his name. And he swears to get revenge for him. And so basically all the other horseshit in the movie, is he, isn't he, aren't they going to let him fight, gets to our climactic fight in the movie. Well, in which case, I mean, like, what else can you say? It's that there's no other parts of this movie that you remember. I think everybody at least knows one frame of the final fight from Bloodsport, right? Like they know it, they could picture it in their mind, right?
Yeah, it's been gift so many times, so many options from that fight alone. There was such a ridiculous amount of slow-mo used in the most ridiculous points of that fight. The absurdity is just, it's insane. But we got to see his blindfold training abuse as a child finally pay off all those years later.
Yeah. Do you realize, like, in the blindfold training as a child, that 80% of it was him fucking serving them dinner? Like, after they spent like 17 hours beating the shit out of him mercilessly. Oh my God. Listen, before we even talk about that final battle and everything, we have to talk about something this movie did that is so fucking quintessential 80s, that 80s so hard, this fucking movie. And that is, after day 2 of Kumite, right? Jackson's in the hospital. His fucking woman is trying to get him out of the Kumite because she's afraid he's going to get hurt. She's going to the military. Be like, I know.
Woman that he met yesterday.
Well, hold on. And then we get to that fucking scene where Frank Dukes is on the bus going up the mountain. He's watching his reflection, and it's the fucking quintessential 80s montage moment where he realizes his best friend that he met 2 fucking days ago is dying in the hospital, and his fucking woman who he met 2 days ago and impregnated yesterday is really angry at him, and he just doesn't know what to do. It is so much emotion in this 80s movie. In this 80s movie, that he has to go to the top of Hong Kong and do a fucking split at the temple. That was so fucking 80s. Like fucking, it was like fucking Miami Vice just rolled up to my house in a boat and just fucking slapped me in the face with the Ghostbusters, like, proton pack. That was so fucking 80s.
But the music is what sold it.
Oh my God. The music was fantastic in that sequence. Oh my God.
You can't be serious, right?
No.
it was none of the music fit in any of the scenes that there was music.
None of them. Let me fucking tell you. I never write about music in my notes because it's like, whatever. Usually people do their job right and I don't have to. But motherfucking Paul Herzog and Stan Bush, you motherfuckers know what you fucking did. All right. And I specifically wrote about this fucking scene that you seem to like so much, Mac, that the 80s music selection during the introspective montage is fucking suspect at best. It is laughably fucking bad. It doesn't fit anything that's happening that you're seeing. It's like cocaine, let's make some music. That's exactly what fucking happened.
Do you know what it was missing? Do you know why it was that way?
Yep.
Noah?
Sexy saxophone.
Fucking sexy saxophone. It did not have that fucking sax.
There was ever a time in movie history that needed sexy 80s saxophone. God. It was the fucking introspective splits on top of Hong Kong. And we didn't fucking get it. It's like, it's cocaine. I'm telling you, the whole thing is cocaine. I mean, like,
Frank, when this never really happened to Frank Dukes, he fucking played Ninja Gaiden on his Nintendo and did coke for 48 hours, and this is what you experience.
I can just imagine the music producer is like, okay, here's that scene, so let's get the saxophone. I'm like, I got an idea. All right, instead of playing it, let's fuck it. Let's put a microphone up. Fuck the sax. You blow in the one end, I'll fuck the other end. We'll record, roll tape. I got an idea. That's it. Brilliant. No. But I mean, look, again, and I know I'm harking on it, but I mean, the entire iconic final scene of this movie, every close-up of Jean-Claude Van Damme's face is if cocaine was a person.
The expression in every shot it made zero sense. Like, who makes those faces while they're fighting?
I still, to
unless
this day,
you're
maintain,
on a shit ton of cocaine.
Yes, I maintain to this day that they wrote the salt in the eyes after, and they filmed it because they realized that he was just so goofed out that he blinded himself while the sequence of the movie.
He was blinded by cocaine.
Yeah.
And
then he just starts yelling.
That's all it was. So, I can imagine Newt Arnold, right, the director of this movie. It's like, all right, listen, guys, listen. I got an idea. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get a slow-mo of fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie. And we're just going to give him a shit ton of cocaine. just as much cocaine as we can fucking give him. And so much cocaine
just
that his nose is gonna start bleeding, but we're just not gonna tell him. And then we're gonna fucking tell him that Jackson's cheating on him, so he can just go. Like we at Penguin Games, this is what I wanted to say at the beginning, and I was like, I'm going to save it for this point. There is a thing that they do at Penguin Games to get the crowd fucking jacked up, like right before, like in the third period with like 3 minutes to go in the game, the Pens are down by 1, and like they're about to pull the goalie. They do that thing in Bloodsport after the coke got thrown in his eyes,
when he
and
pulls
fucking
his hands away from
he pulls his hands, and they go, crowd yell in 3, 2, 1, and then it's just I fucking mark so hard every fucking time we do that. And that was my proudest moment watching this movie with Stephanie. It's like, listen, you remember that scene? You remember every time we see the fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme at the Penguin game? This is where it's from.
It's awesome. Classic. But he beats the heel, Chong Li, blinded by pure cocaine rage. He defeats him.
Pure Peru.
Oh, pure
Peruvian's
Peruvian
best, man.
goodness. Yeah. Like right there. So and then ultimately, as we alluded to, he wins the Kumite. He basically wins nothing for the Kumite.
Just bragging rights. That's it.
Can we also take a moment here when he's like, this is like a fucking ancient, like Chinese fight club that has been along for centuries. Like this is going back to like the dawn of the samurai. That this whole fucking thing, which isn't even the same culture, but just stay with me on this.
Yeah.
So my apologies for my cultural inappropriation. But like at this version of the Kumite, they're like, we would like to go ahead and thank, the generations of families that fight in this tournament and our sponsor, Omaha Steaks. Because they're like, yeah, this thing is like fought by blah, 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 and the International Fighting Institute. I'm like, it's fucking co-sponsored? You really need to co-sponsor this thing? But
I just have a note here that Jean-Claude, what we don't see is he wins the Kumite. And the cocaine is he's just pure cocaine at this point. Like he's just pure cocaine energy. And they come up to him and he's like, I won the Kumite. What do I win? He's like, they hold his hands and they're like, the real prize is the friendships you make along the way. That's the real prize of the Kumite.
Have you guys seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
You know that scene in The Wolf of Wall Street where like Jonah Hill, they're both like fucking tripping on lewds, and Jonah Hill answers the phone and he's talking to the fucking on the phone that's wiretapped and everything. And he like chokes on like a piece of ham. And fucking Leonardo DiCaprio, who's so fucked up on lewds, like crawls into the room and his wife's screaming, you gotta fucking help him, Jordan. And he's watching the TV and he sees Popeye with spinach and he fucking grabs the fucking brick of cocaine that he has in his kitchen and fucking just snorts it like it's fucking, and he just like levels up. That's what Frank Dukes won from the Kumite. He won a year's supply of that. Well, probably 5 years, so he can be ready to go for the next one.
5 years supply of cocaine done in 1 hour in a bathroom. So off a little bit of a meta off of the future Bloodsport VHS cover. But we get to the end of the movie and he fucking bails out. He leaves Jackson and Janice sitting there as he goes back to America with Forrest Whitaker and White Dude. And that's how the movie ends. Well, I mean, we get his career stats at the end of it as well. It's just like, did we really need an extra little bow on the end of this? Just like it's more cocaine. Someone's like, how many guys should we say he beat? 359. One for almost every day of the year. But he
like
you for Passover.
Like you realize that if he beat 359 people in like one tournament or something, like they said, that there had to have been like 17,000 people in that tournament. How fucking exclusive was it?
Right.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Oh my god.
Not as incredible as the pure 80s fashion choices. Like when they're showing the stats, it's just Jean-Claude wearing khaki dress pants and loafers and a black wife beater and a yellow like suit jacket, which is also what he wore in the chase scene throughout all of Hong Kong.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is the greatest chase scene I've ever seen.
You guys,
fucking Benny Hill bullshit.
Van Damme does not know how to dress in any movies. I'm convinced he's never. Oh. I'm convinced he picks out all of his clothes because in every movie, he basically starts in the worst possible. I'm not a fashionista by any stretch of the imagination, but even I know that you don't tuck like a fucking like bright windbreaker into. You'll tuck your coat into your pants. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how he starts his day. Just put this here. There you go.
I love that he's in a fucking karate gi until he gets punched once in a fight, and then the fucking gi comes off.
Yep. And now he's in Muay Thai shorts.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
How much of this movie did Mortal Kombat steal?
A lot.
A lot.
The lighting.
Fuck, he's Johnny Cage, man.
Yeah.
Well, he does the fucking drop split and uppercuts the fucking like gargantuan fighter.
Yeah,
right in the fucking balls. And Stephanie looks at me and she goes, "Is that legal?" And I look at her and go, "It's fucking Kumite.
Bloodsport. Everything's legal."
If Chong Li kills a guy, and he cripples Jackson. So I'm pretty sure that, and I want to know, like, but you can't have, and I don't want to put my serious hat on for a second. You can't have a tournament that features paralysis, blatant use of weaponry, and death by a fighter in this tournament, and also have it quote unquote sanctioned by an international governing fighting body that would presumably. I just thought would also presumably like be the one that when we were kids and we had karate tournaments, like they were the international governing body of that too. And now I'm just picturing 5-year-olds doing Bloodsport. That's the remake we need. It's like,
oh my god!
Oh, young blood.
Those weird like dude's dead in the ring, and like the sanctioned officials are just standing around watching. But after the very first match, as soon as there was one spot of blood on the ring, they're like, "Get in there and clean that shit up," and they're like rubbing it.
That's right.
It's
like when the one dude dies, they all just like turn away from Chong Li.
They shun him.
Yeah,
that's where we draw the line.
That now to me, like I bet you cocaine again. Someone did like a massive pile of cocaine. Like this is the emotional gravitas in the movie, not Jackson and the jacking off of Brotherhood. It's not the butt cheeks and the emotional. It's not even the splits on top of Hong Kong. It's when Chong Li kills a guy and everyone turns their back on him. I don't know why I feel like Vince McMahon's like, yeah, and then they're gonna turn his back. It's such good shit. No, that's it's like
does anybody here have like the idea of like what happens 10 days after Bloodsport, where like fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme is like walking down the street and it's raining, and like fucking the lightning flashes, and then Jackson's just standing there, and they have a fucking like just moment of embrace, like in the middle of the street after he's gotten out of the hospital. He's like, "I want to suck you so hard."
Jesus. Wow, that escalated.
Yeah, I can't say I've thought of that before.
Well, no,
I just thought of it. I just thought of it right now. You know, like what's that fucking movie with oh God, I can't fucking think of it right now.
I don't know what movie you're about to fucking reference.
No, there's a point of reference.
It's the lightning. The lightning is what gets him off. Clearly,
it's a point of reference here. Hold on,
it's Thor: Dark World he's talking about.
I don't remember that scene in The Godfather Part 2.
Like,
I'm talking about The Notebook.
I love how we start with an orgy of orcs and end with getting sucked off from The Notebook.
I don't remember.
Isn't there that scene in The Notebook where like he like they like see each other and they like fucking run in the rain and everything? Like that's how I envision like Jackson after he gets out of the fucking hospital in Hong Kong, because they had that thing. Is like, no matter where you are, no matter what you need, if you need me, I'll be there. And then like fucking Jean-Claude's calling collect, like, listen, dude, I'm fucking backed up.
Listen, man, you gotta stay loose.
See, first of all, that was a good Jackson voice. Second, when you said, can you
Of
imagine what
course.
happened 10 days later? My thought process immediately went to, so he's back in the military and he's doing his pre-military re-entry physical screening. So the doctor comes in, Jean-Claude Van Damme sitting on a little bench with his little feet dangling there. I bet you, because of his mental instability, when the doctor was away, he played with everything in that office. He's like, oh, the hammer. Like, and the doctor comes in and he's like, yeah, so you've been to Asia recently, haven't you? He's like, yeah. He's like, so, and did you come in to like a lot of, or perhaps unprotected blood swapping with a lot of people? And he's like, yeah, maybe it's a blood tournament.
I came into a lot of things when I was in Hong Kong.
He's like, yeah, because this is the 80s and you have AIDS now. So good luck with that.
Man.
Oh my God, it's a
turn.
completely different type of blood sport now.
And then 4 years later, Frank Dukes is being played by Tom Hanks in Philadelphia.
My God. Oh my God. Philadelphia's the sequel to Bloodsport. We have gone. I'm not cutting any of this out.
Bloodsport 1.5.
So there were 3 sequels to Bloodsport. Philadelphia was not one of them. They were all direct to VHS. And Frank Dukes and Jean-Claude Van Damme were not involved with any of them.
Oh, probably for the best. But ultimately, okay, gents, we could go on about the cocaine in this movie and all of the things and the potential sequels, the Notebook and Philadelphia.
We're not covering.
we're not doing. Even though that's really,
it's like that scene. It's
really
like, I need
tempting.
you to suck me off. Don't you remember that scene from The Notebook? You and I remember The Notebook very differently, Dave.
Very differently.
I don't think Ryan Gosling uttered those lines in film.
But I'm going to ask you guys one wrap up question here to kind of take Bloodsport home, if you will. We were lucky enough to have reviewed on this show all together the Highlander. Okay. And I feel like Bloodsport is in the same brotherhood as Highlander. Completely ridiculous, over the top 80s action movies. But what I would like to do as we go through the show from here on out, we should definitely keep dipping into these 80s action movies. Like, with no doubt, this is good shit. But I would like to start our rankings, our progressively ever evolving tier rankings of the Mount Olympus of shitty 80s action movies. So I ask you here and now, let's go around the table. And I'm going to start with you, Mac. What sits at the top? Which is currently the king of the shitty 80s action movie? Is it Bloodsport or Highlander? Mac.
So are we talking about, so we're just talking about what we've reviewed to this point?
Just to this point.
Movies.
These two movies.
I'm going Bloodsport.
Bloodsport's better. All right. Yeah. Jafar.
I'm going with Bloodsport also.
Okay. All right. Doc. Top
Highlander without question.
Highlander without question.
I think there's a question to be had there. I mean, both star international actors that really don't speak English or know half of what they're saying.
True.
Well, you know what? Highlander, active nipple chewing. Bloodsport, passive nipple chewing.
Yeah.
Implied nipple chewing.
Heavily implied.
No, implied titty chewing.
Yeah.
He didn't chew on a nipple. He went full titty with that.
Both
like a pterodactyl, Christopher Lamb. Yeah. Like a claw game. He descended on that. Like, that's what those quarters are for.
Oh my God.
No, what's your choice?
For the nipple chewing, but ultimately, the only reason I would put Highlander above Bloodsport, and I do, is because Highlander had the balls to actually use sexy 80s saxophone in their movie, and you got the Queen soundtrack. But that's it. And you've got and as far as accents, confusion, they're both equal in that regard. I mean,
definitely,
it's so incredible, and it's close. But I am on my mountain putting Highlander just above Bloodsport. But I'm interested to put more things on this list.
Think about the boxes that these movies actually check off here for a second, right?
Mm-hmm.
First off, completely ridiculous lead actor who can't speak the language of the movie he's really doing.
Check.
Right? Check. Extreme, sexism towards women.
Check.
Also, completely unrealistic. We're going to fuck moments. Yes. Right?
Check. Casual racism.
Casual. Right. Is it casual though? Is it casual?
Super casual, because it's super casual. It's like no one actually, not any time in any of the movies we've reviewed that have racism does anyone go, "Oh, damn, dude, that was racist." They're all like, "Nope, that's a normal sentence for someone to say." It's not,
an overabundance of cocaine.
So much cocaine.
Oh yeah. Unnecessarily badass final battle.
Check.
Right. I mean, there's a formula here.
And we're going to get there. There's so many more we can do. And I'm excited to do them all. Speaking of excited, guys, we got something interesting coming up next week. That is, I'm not saying it's the opposite of Bloodsport, because it's also awesome in its own ridiculous way. But we're going to be talking about one of the, if not the most iconic wrestlers in history. It's our first entire one wrestler only episode. And who are we going to talk about, guys?
Gilbert.
Very close.
Shit. I did
Undertaker.
I'm starting the wrong type of research.
The fucking Undertaker.
Yes.
The dead man.
The most iconic dude in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, the WWE. He is one of those rare things that is above he's in so many people's Mount Rushmore, and we're gonna talk about his career. We're gonna pick a little bit of fun, have a lot of great times talking about our favorite matches. Are you guys excited to talk about the Undertaker, the dead man?
Super stoked.
Okay.
Yeah,
considerably.
So no, I think it's worth kind of mentioning here, right? So I think my favorite part about this, like legitimately my favorite part about this episode, for our audience listeners, right? And I think we should put this on social media so people have an idea as we kind of talk about it. Privately, we were in a text message group, and one of the things that we wanted to do here was we wanted to all talk about our favorite Undertaker match. And we had to kind of go back, and each of us go back and watch those matches that we individually listed. I fucking love that. I had so much fun watching, a couple of them I forgot about and just really enjoyed, watching. I think we should kind of list that so that our audience members can kind of like watch those matches kind of as we go into it, just to kind of get a little bit of, for those of you, depending on how far back you go with wrestling, a lot of you might just remember recent Undertaker, or maybe that's kind of fresh in your mind, but you got to go back and fucking watch how this dude just could go.
For sure.
Anybody. And we have a great listing of matches that we chose that I think represent all the different aspects of why the Undertaker is the fucking GOAT, right? So that was my favorite thing to do, and I can't wait to talk about it.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we're going to do that next week. One last thing, just because we can't leave anybody else without any doubt in our mind, what is one word that you would use to describe the glory of Bloodsport? Jafar?
Dukes. Like, put up your dukes.
Very nice. Very nice. Mac?
Unnecessary fucking splits, man. Ouch.
Doc, one word to describe Bloodsport. Can't top that, so I'll just say cocaine. We'll see everybody next week.